Hi, I'm Milton Rendell and welcome to Real News Friday. Another interesting week. Sales in the area, according to Real Estate Institute of West Australia, 594. It's obviously lower than we were seeing prior to Christmas. Stock levels for sales at the moment, 8,025. So that's 14% lower than what it was 4 weeks ago, but we had forecasted part of that, and we're down about 3% of what we were a year ago. So stock levels are still fairly low. Interest is still reasonably high. We did do some home opens during the New Year period, and we did have good numbers of people through. But having said that, speaking to a few agents, there has been a slowing in the sales, which is obviously indicated through those numbers, but I think that's probably more the festive season hangover, and I would expect in the next 2 weeks to see some improvement in that. Rentals is another interesting one. 2,359 rentals available, 416 were rented out in the past week. Now, the amount of stock that's on the market is down by about 5% on what it was 4 weeks ago, and down 17% on what it was a year ago. So the rental situation hasn't improved, and it doesn't appear to be improving. But what we are hearing more commonly now is regular increases in rents, and we are seeing that, and I've been speaking about it in the last couple of weeks, but I think that's going to be quite a strong trend in the coming weeks. The big question then becomes, in about 3 to 4 weeks, is whether, in theory, when we open the borders, are we going to have a COVID hangover? Speaking to relatives and friends and agents I know over in the East Coast, they're pretty well settled into the COVID way of life, but we'll be interested to see how we settle into West Australia. It may distract us for a couple of months, but we're still seeing regular inquiry for properties, and that doesn't seem to be changed. How we do our home opens and things like that, we're still trying to work all that out. We'll get back to the number of cases that eventually arrive in West Australia. Speaking of number of people who are in the medical field, I believe that we're going to have a surge. I don't know. I'm just a real estate agent, but you have to sort of listen to those who are in the field. Interesting part, I don't know about you, but for me, I really haven't known anyone that's had COVID until probably recently, and my wife's family has, my wife's sister's now got COVID, and her daughter, and also my wife's uncle, and a couple of other of our friends in Melbourne in the last week have all contracted COVID. Each are okay, and the uncle is in his mid-70s. All are cruising through it okay, and are all saying it just feels like they've been hit with a sledgehammer, like a really bad cold. But each of them had their jabs, and they all seem to be coming out of it reasonably well. So one would assume that's going to be the same trend in West Australia. I think the big challenge for all of us is how we deal with it if we have one of our staff or friends or whatever has it, and what will the rules be around isolation, what will be a direct contact, etc. So I still think we've got a lot of news to arrive on that, and that may affect how we conduct our home opens, our home inspections, etc. So possibly in February we may have a little bit of confusion in the marketplace. So don't be surprised by that. I'm saying to our staff that we'll be expecting it. Hopefully it doesn't occur, but I think you still need to be prepared. So owners, if we, it's going to be, you're going to have to probably be patient with us as agents, because there may be a few left field things happen, and tenants have their own rights, and we'll see how the government determines how we handle that going into it. There's still not enough information out there for us to make clear decisions about it. We will follow whatever protocols that are put to us, but at this particular stage it isn't that clear. So hopefully between now and the early weeks of February we have something clear, but I'm pretty confident we'll be okay. We have to be. We don't have a choice once it arrives, and once it does arrive, well, it's going to be a new game. So we will see. I don't see a negative in it. I think it's just basically going to be part of life, and hopefully probably by mid next year everything will be fairly well settled. Having said all that about COVID, etc., speaking to my colleagues on the East Coast, it certainly hasn't affected the volumes of sales and the rental demands. So we're just going to have to find different ways to do it. Hopefully it will be simple. like you, I don't enjoy wearing masks, but I'll wear them because I have to. I don't find it exciting having to wash my hands, but if we have to, we do. We just do what we need to do, and I would advise all landlords and tenants to be pretty open-minded to that going forward. The challenge, I think, will also present some problems to the building industry because obviously construction in some places will be disrupted. Hopefully all these things don't happen, but there are forecasts for large COVID numbers in West Australia, and again, I hope they are 100% wrong, but we will see. From a real estate point of view, in terms of inquiry, we're still getting very strong inquiry, particularly into the hills and the other parts of areas that we have had some very interesting interest in. Have been areas like Middle Swan, Swan View, Helena Valley, also into South Guildford, and some of the budgets that people have been talking about have been much higher than we've heard before, so that's also encouraging for future sellers. Did hear of a simple residential sale in Guildford the other day, not for a true character home, but for a modern home at $1 million. Those figures are now starting to become more common in areas like Guildford, which is an interesting one for those who live in Guildford. And South Guildford, I'm hearing once again more demand and more interest in that location than I probably have seen for quite some time. So overall, marketplace still fairly active. I think we'll continue to be pretty active. I think we'll have a small build up between now and when COVID arrives. When COVID arrives, I think we'll go what I call the tunnel. I think it'll be dark for a while, and we'll probably spend 2 or 3 weeks assessing where we are, but I think we'll come out of that by the end of February and things will continue. But that's once again as an opinion. I don't have a lot of statistics to support it. I'm just going on what we've seen in the past and the feedback I've got from the eastern states. But to everyone, wish you all the best. If you want to know anything else, give the team a call or check out realestateplus.com.au anytime.